say pretty bird? Pretty bird. It's Cosmo. Cosmo. Little Shelly. Little Shelly. Good job. Good morning, you beautiful people. All right, so today's the first podcast episode, and it should be fun. It's a Mother's Day episode, and it's on the Show Me Reptile Network. And we are the only show from Atlantic to Pacific now, so the biggest show in the United States, not possibly the world, which is pretty cool. But anyways, I got a special guest today, which is my mother, Wendy Anderson, and let's interview her today. Yeah, here she is.
Hi everybody.
Hi. So this is going to be a fun podcast today. Are you excited?
Yeah, it's Mother's Day, so yeah, I get to spend time with my son.
Have you had a good day today?
So far, yeah. So far, it's been great.
Everybody that doesn't know, she's in Nevada. I'm in Oregon, so we're not in the same state right now.
The Reno Desert. Yep.
Nice. I got Sky's the Limit. They want to see a baby picture. I hope you don't have those.
No. I would have, though, if you had told me.
Oh, that's funny. I'm glad. I'm glad we didn't tell you. All right. Let's get this podcast started.
Okay.
So
let's do it.
You and reptiles. That's a fun one.
Yeah. Most of my time growing up, it was always just cats and dogs. So, I mean, I had to get used to some reptiles because I hung out with my brothers all the time, and they were always trying to scare me with snakes and lizards. So I got used to them really fast, even though I was scared to death of them.
Kryptonite Dream says Happy Mother's Day to all the wonderful moms out there. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Happy Mother's Day, everybody.
Same with Show Me Reptile Network. Happy Mother's Day. And then, okay, so rewind a little bit. You had two boys.
I did. I had two boys. So it didn't surprise me that one of them was into reptiles.
Yeah.
The other was into computers, and he works for Disney, so completely polar opposites. But
right.
Yeah, Mark, you've always been into reptiles ever since you were a little kid.
But me and my brother are both chefs too, so we have that in common.
That's true. Yeah, reptiles and cooking, yes.
What experiences can you recall as like me as a kid, I guess, and then you and animals?
Well, like I said, my brothers just always tried to taunt me with snakes and lizards, and so as a girl, you're just kind of scared automatically of them. But I got used to them, kind of swallowed my fear so that they couldn't torture me with them. So yes, I played with them when I was younger, just so I didn't look scared and they couldn't torture me. So it was, I don't think I ever got bit though. I was always gentle. I was afraid they could sense that I was scared, but I handled them very gently.
That's awesome.
So they wouldn't hurt me.
All right.
And then you as a kid, ever since you could walk, you were just always chasing lizards. Every rock you can find, you were always looking for the lizards and the snakes.
Nice. Yeah, I remember watching Steve Irwin on TV, always watching Animal Planet. I remember we always had Animal Planet on. I remember we used to watch when Planet Earth first came out. We would all sit down as a family and watch the new episodes that came out.
Because it was amazing stuff. You got to see scenery, beautiful, weird creatures.
And then you and your weird obsessions with having park passes to everywhere, because we grew up in Southern California, so we had
they were cheap.
And Six Flags, SeaWorld, Wild Animal Park, everywhere. San Diego Zoo.
I liked going places and always doing stuff, and of course, you get to see all these exotic animals from all over the world. So it was incredible.
And it's great weather down there too. So like those animal facilities are some of the best in the entire world,
Mm-hmm.
And then we used to the Wild Animal Park was really cool. That was that was huge. I don't know if you remember how many acres it was, but it was insane.
No, but it was crazy because they had the whole tram that went and took you around the whole open Africa part. So yes, the rhinos were running around out there, and you got to see the black rhinos, which were endangered. And yeah, it was amazing.
I remember we used to go to SeaWorld a lot, and you would do we'd go pet the dolphins, and
But
um,
yeah.
my aunt would take me. I remember one time she took me to do dine with Shamu, and you could just before they had all the
Hmm.
stuff in place, you could walk into the tank with Shamu and pet him when they got him on the platform. Now we know that's
Yes,
crazy animal abuse and all
it's
that stuff.
dangerous.
I remember when SeaWorld had a great white shark in their tank, and it was just swimming, and they didn't
Oh,
like there wasn't a lot of research done. It was back in the day, but I remember a little juvenile great white shark. I think it was like something happened to it, but they had to take care of it, and then they released
the
it like a
rescue.
week later.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I remember seeing a great white shark swim by my face. I was like, that's insane.
And that's funny. I remember the animal parts for the dogs and cats, and you remember the reptile part. I mean, it was SeaWorld, but still. They had
Yeah.
animal shows like dogs and cats, and that was my thing.
Okay, so we had all that experience and everything with all the parks, but we also lived next to a national park called Glahomie Park in
It
San Diego.
was a regional park. Yes, it was Guahomie Regional Park. Um,
It was like a
it was
wildlife sanctuary.
yeah, it was a pretty good size, and it was 2 miles from the ocean. But yeah, we could walk right over to it, and so you were always over there, always gone, always in there, and in the trees everywhere.
And what would I what are some of the animals I'd bring home?
Of course, the snakes, the lizards. You did bring home a falcon one time that was injured, so it was covered with maggots and nasty
I
stuff. And
remember that we picked up the maggots for so long.
you sat there and tried to nurse that thing for days. It ended up passing away, but I was like, wow, this kid is really dedicated.
You see that video I put up on social media the other day? It was like a hawk that got hit by a car. It was so sad.
No.
Yeah, and it
Oh,
was like had brain damage, but no broken bones or anything. So I sat with it for like 20 minutes, and it flew away. I was like, hopefully it
oh.
lives. Probably a little special, but aren't we all?
He might fly in circles, but it's
Yeah,
okay.
it worked out. But I remember some specific experiences where I would like bring rattlesnakes home, and you would make me ride in the back of your truck so we
Well,
could.
it was a rattlesnake. Yes.
And I just be
Okay,
like,
but
here's a rattlesnake, because I
but
wasn't
it's
used
not
to
just
bring it.
snakes. You play with the spiders too. And I remember taking you to work one day, and there was that weird green spider in the truck,
Gosh.
and Mark would not touch it, get out because it was on his side, and
It was on
then
the
he was
visor.
trying.
We're in the car. It was on the visor of the
Yes,
yeah. It was right
but
there in
he's
my
always into
face.
catch and release, and I'm like, just kill it. It's inside my truck.
I jumped out of the car so fast. I don't even think we found it. I think we pulled over in the middle of like a parking lot.
No, you found it. We pulled over in the parking lot where you work, but it kept running under the seat, and you kept trying to just rescue it. And I'm like, just kill it.
I don't know.
It
It's
was running around in my truck,
scary.
and he kept getting a branch, and he rescued, like he made it crawl on the branch and took it out. It took over a half hour to get that thing out. He was late to work, but he had to rescue that damn
Spider
green
lives
spider.
matter. I don't even kill spiders in the house now. I let them go.
Okay, well, being in San Diego, because of the wild animal park and the zoo, we had all types of exotic critters running around the whole city because they came in on crates or whatever. But do you remember the yellow spider? The
Yeah,
yellow and black one?
yeah, that was in front of our garden.
Yes. And it was creepy because it was like
It was like an
six
orb weaver
inches
spider.
long.
Yeah.
Yes, it was huge. And you thought I killed it for years. You thought I killed it. And I was like, it was too big to kill. I would have had to have hairspray and a lighter.
Oh my gosh. And
It
now what
was
do you do with spiders?
too big. Spiders, I have this deal with Mother Nature that if they're in my house, I'm sorry. If they're outside, I leave them alone because it's their territory.
Right?
And there, I have been known ever since you started this that if there's one inside, I will give it a chance and say, okay, if I come back and you're still here, that's it. But you got to go. I give them a chance.
That's cool.
It's only with spiders. Everything else is fine.
Nice. Do you remember when I was growing up and we got the call about the huge monster dinosaur in somebody's apartment
Yes,
building? Like,
Monty. They said there
on
was a dinosaur walking down the street in San Diego.
it ended up being a tegu, everybody, an Argentine black and white tegu. And it was just a big
Yes,
male. He was right around 4.5, 5 feet.
yes,
Um,
but he was the sweetest lizard. Like he had personality. He was a dog, basically.
I built him a huge outdoor enclosure. It was nice.
But he was super smart. And that was the first real taste of reptiles I ever had because I didn't know they were so smart. He, okay, he took the sawdust because he had it was like a 4 by 5 by 3 enclosure that you built for him.
Yeah, something
And
like
there
that.
was sawdust or something, some kind of material in there. And he pushed it all to the rock because he also had a rock in there. He pushed all of that material to the side where the rock was so he could crawl up out of that cage. And
Yeah.
he did. He crawled out and he went into the neighbor's house because he knew what a sliding glass door was. So he went in through the neighbor's backyard and she was asleep on the couch and it was licking her hand and she thought it was her cat. Nope,
That's
it
awesome.
was the Tegu. She screamed, but she didn't kill it because she knew it was yours. And she had seen you handle it in the front yard many times. So did the neighbors. The neighbors all knew this weird thing was yours.
Nice. Got another comment from Courtney Roberts, which is my baby mama, and
Hi,
Porter's
Courtney.
online, which is my son. I'm going to have
Hi,
Porter on the podcast
Porter.
hopefully soon because he's so
Yeah.
smart, so intelligent. And the one
Oh, he
thing you put
is.
on me with the animals, I put on him with the animals. So,
Yes. As
and
soon
he's
as you
9 years
stick a
old, and
camera in his face, he's
oh my
on
god,
it.
I've always tried to get him camera ready because I'm like, eventually you're going to take over, even if you don't want to do animals. Like, you should still be comfortable in front of a camera because it's this generation's, whole thing is cameras and
Yeah.
technology. But
And
yeah, no,
Porter knows
he's
how to do it.
he's crazy. I want to have him on because his birthday's on Monday, so fun to
It's
have him on.
coming. He's
Yeah,
growing up to be another Mark.
after raising Mark, if you could go back and give yourself a piece of advice, what would that be? The conductor says.
Oh. And that's to me.
Yep,
um support him more with the reptiles. I tried to always kind of get him more toward the fluffy stuff like the dogs and the cats because he was really good with our dog.
that's
He
one thing.
trained him.
Yeah, I wanted that more start earlier essentially.
Yeah. I mean, that would be my big piece of advice is, I mean, I always helped him try to catch lizards, but like that was the extent of it. But I didn't know how into it he would actually be.
Do you remember Max, our German Shepherd that we got? I think he was like what, 6 months
Yes.
old when we got him. So
Yes.
yeah, I had that dog for 14 years, and he's the
Mm-hmm.
one that got me into animal behavior because he was special needs and
Uh-huh.
physically handicapped because he was abused essentially.
He was mentally and physically damaged. Yes.
Yeah, like lights were on but nobody saw him kind of
Yes.
dog.
He would lick the
Um,
walls. Yes.
it was very he had German Shepherd tendency, so he's very protective over me. And I'd
Very,
be
yes.
sitting on a couch and somebody could be like, "What's up, homie?" And like he would get up in their face. So it was
Oh yeah.
14 years of watching people's behavior and that dog's behavior because I had to,
Mm-hmm.
anticipate all of that stuff. So I remember when I had to put him down because he stayed alive 2 weeks after my son was born. Thank goodness he held on that long. Um,
Yes.
but and then when I put him down, I was sitting there with with Porter, my newborn son, and I'm like, now what do I do? I don't have an animal to watch, And so that's when I started getting all the lizards, fish, snakes that in this collection that I have today. Um, and that's what got me into animal behavior was that dog, honestly. And I kind of just transferred it over into reptile behavior because they're so intelligent, they're so smart, and you've noticed that, like doing events with me,
Yes.
whatever it is, you've done it with me, and you have no experience yourself, and you're like an anaconda. It's crazy.
Well, that is one of the weird things that I've noticed about your shows when you
Happy
do
birthday.
these shows is people are scared to death when they first walk up because it's usually like at a brewery or whatever and they're just going in for beer, but they see the snakes and they're like, "Oh, hell no." But then you're like, "Oh, no." And then you start talking to them about the actual behavior and it's something they don't ever learn about. So within an hour, these little girls were holding the snakes and kissing them. I'm like, what are you doing? But they change their whole tune when you teach them.
It's crazy. Well, and then
It is.
I have a friend Brad at Brad's World, and he does the largest like educational shows on along the West Coast from like I believe it's Mexico to Canada. Like does everything. But I went over to his house one time, and he gave me like a really good piece of advice, and it was if you scare a person with the animal, you failed. You know, like
Yeah.
whether it's a lady across the street and you're holding a snake around your neck, you know, and you're just walking casually, and that lady gets scared, you
Uh-huh.
essentially failed. That was a negative experience. And so I tried to take that all the time and, you know, let people know kind of thing. Because there's a lot of people out there scared of snakes, reptiles, and
Because
snakes specifically.
the movies always portray them as just evil and bad and dangerous.
Right. Well, and then so when I give people my green anaconda, Athena, she's met hundreds of thousands of people. And I will, be like, here you go. Like they're like, I've never held a snake before, right? And I'm like, here's an anaconda. And then they're like, Anaconda, like the movie with J-Lo. I'm like, yeah, J-Lo,
Yes.
the one that eats people. Yeah, here's that scary anaconda.
Uh-huh.
And it just blows their mind. And they're just like, wow, it's like Jaws, when you saw Jaws back in the day,
Oh, yeah, nobody wanted to swim.
now. But yeah, I do have some people backstage that I want to bring out. I have the conductor backstage, and I know he is itching to come out and say a few words.
Hey, how are you all doing? Good day, all you beautiful dreamers, keepers, and reptile enthusiasts. You know who I am, the conductor with Sky High Morris, rolling with the Show Me Reptile show. So Wendy, I do have a couple of questions for you, and so while you were raising Mark, can you tell me one of the most memorable moments that you've
Mark,
had?
I can't hear him at all.
She can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me? Can you hear me now?
Can you hear him?
No.
Weird.
Technical
difficulties. Okay, what's the question? I'll ask her.
What is one of the most memorable moments that you guys had together, herping or out there doing the reptile thing?
What are one of the most memorable reptile experiences you have with me and you?
Well,
Anytime.
you said it better than I did.
I'm going to say Daisy. Because that was the first real big
She's my
snake.
17-foot long retic. Yeah.
She's the yellow one. Yeah.
Yep.
She's just massive and heavy.
Yeah. She's an albino sunfire lavender reticulated python. She's 17 feet and weighs maybe 86 pounds, maybe 90.
Mm-hmm.
But,
she's incredible.
And it's crazy because that's not even heavy. They get up to 300 or 200 pounds.
Of course.
Yeah, insane. So that was your best memory. Why?
Just because it's one of those like the J-Lo movie, Anaconda. Like it's one of those massive snakes, which I know she's not as big as she can get, but still, that's like the first thing I've ever held that was that big and that could actually kill you.
And then you were at a fair with her before with me showing her off.
So and there's so many pictures of her. But she's in videos. She's with children. Yet she's sweet.
Awesome. Any other questions, conductor?
Yeah. So what will be one of the most funniest moments that she's experienced with you as a little kid bringing the reptiles into the house?
What is one of the most funniest moments you have of me growing up with me bringing reptiles into the house?
In the house, I would have to be the water dragon.
Okay.
The water dragon that you left on the front lawn.
His name is Chris. I remember him.
He ended up down at the neighbor's house like 2 days later. That was before Mark really knew how to take care of them.
That's awesome.
So, and you guys do a lot of the herping together when you guys were you were younger, Mark?
So he's asking if we've done a lot of herping together when we were younger.
I don't know if it's considered. When we were looking for the lizards, we were always looking for the lizards, and you were always flipping up every single rock.
Alligator lizards at that one state park we used to go. It was like Four Falls or something, or
I
by
think that's what
Julian.
it was called.
Yeah, something like that. But there's always
Yeah.
alligator lizards. We always go like
Oh yeah.
family hiking trips, but I'd be in the bushes.
Yes. Mark was. It was nonstop everywhere we went.
And you guys said you lived in Florida when you were younger,
And
right?
then now we do it with Porter, and
Nice.
Porter does the same thing every single time.
Yeah, and we lived in Southern California, so San
Oh,
Diego.
Southern California.
Yes.
Okay. And that so down there in Southern California, what were some of the reptiles that you guys were finding?
We were finding southern alligator lizards, southern Pacific rattlesnakes, gopher
Hmm.
snakes,
The little
racers.
skinks, right?
Yeah, little skinks. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff down there. And I'm
Now,
sure even now there's more like escaped species. I remember seeing wild parrots just flying around the
Oh,
city in like El Cajon, and
dozens.
I'm sure they're still there, but there's just wild
Yeah.
parrots. Like
Yep.
kind of
Just
Florida
like in
style. There's like,
Hawaii.
yeah,
Just like in Hawaii. Yes.
it's crazy.
Hmm.
But yeah, there's a lot of wildlife down there. And then you have Mexico right down there. So
Yep.
okay.
you have, a lot of different species of rattlesnakes that can come between the United States and Mexico. And yeah, it's crazy. There's sidewinders down in California. There's lots of stuff.
Right. And now, where are you guys located now? You guys said that you are distant from each other. Exactly how distant are you?
Yeah, so I'm in Oregon and at the coast in Southern Oregon, and she is in Reno, Nevada.
Oh
Hmm.
wow.
So about 8 hours away from each other.
So do you guys?
Yeah.
Well,
So I
that
think
ain't
it's about 7 to 8 hours. Yeah.
so that ain't too bad. Do you guys still do herping together now?
Uh, I guess not so much. I mean, every time she comes and visits, we go herping. But now that I moved to the coast, we do more tide pooling. So I live at the coast, and
Yes.
we'll go do a lot of tide pooling. There
Uh-huh.
is alligator lizards on the sand dunes. So I live in a city called Lakeside, and it's a dune city essentially. So you could just go take ATVs out there, the UTVs. You go take quads. We'll go take the side by sides and quads out and just have so much fun. And then you could ride on the beach.
Yeah.
You find a lot of there'll be beach whales sometimes, beach sharks, and off the coastline here we have a lot of orcas, whales, salmon sharks, great white sharks.
Oh,
But
nice.
But all
yeah,
over those sand dunes, you can see the snake patterns.
and the last time you came up, we caught the alligator lizard at the sand
Yeah.
dune.
They're
That was
just
pretty
all
cool.
over. Yep.
Yep. And
So
then as far as herping, we plan on traveling to go herping and stuff too. But I think you're going to Ireland this year,
Yes.
right? Yeah. And then last year you were in Italy.
Italy. Hmm.
Was there any reptiles there?
There was. I didn't get to see them, but I saw the sign. There was one area by the airport that we passed, and it was just all weird and marshy. Like it looked like something from Florida, but there
okay.
was a sign in the front of it, like when you entered, and it had like 9 or 10 different reptile pictures on it, but we passed it so fast. And I was like, whoa, I've never seen anything like that. But the
Okay.
roads are kind of crazy out there, so we couldn't stop and take a picture, but it looked really awesome because it showed all these different reptiles that were in this open area.
Nice.
In Italy. That's crazy.
Now,
Yeah,
let's get away from the
it was
because
amazing. I
no,
can't wait to see what's in Ireland because it's an island.
now I didn't know she went to Italy, so we'll get a little bit away from the reptiles a little bit. Did she want to tell us a little bit about her trip to Italy and some of the stuff that she did there, some of the things she's seen?
Okay, so I'm in the animals as right. I'm in animals. Everybody knows that, but I'm
Yeah.
also a chef. I don't know if everybody knows that too. So when she traveled to Italy, I was constantly on her about the food and
Hmm.
American pizza versus Italian pizza, all that stuff. So his question to you, Mom, was, what were some of your favorite experiences in Italy?
Um, okay, so most people have seen Napa, right? It's just beautiful vineyards and it's gorgeous, and then you get back to the freeway and it's the rest of the world. Italy is like that everywhere. Everywhere you look, it's all just like that. The beautiful vineyards, the beautiful hillsides, it's incredible. It's amazing. And the food was incredible. And we're like questioning each other. Is it just because we're in Italy that the food tastes better? No, it really did taste better because they don't use all the fillers and stuff that we use out here. So
Yeah,
when you eat the pasta and the pizza, it tastes better and you don't feel like crap afterwards.
Nice.
Rome. Rome had the best food, and everything was cheap, super cheap.
Now,
That's awesome.
does she
Uh-huh.
do
What
a
about?
lot of traveling?
Yeah. So tell us about your other traveling experiences and your future traveling plans.
We've been to Hawaii a couple different times because who doesn't want to go to Hawaii?
And I lived
It's
there
just
too. So
right.
over
It's
there.
just incredible, and the things you see over there are crazy. So you're like, okay, I don't need to see any more weird spiders. I mean, I've been to Costa Rica. There was some weird looking spiders out there that I care to never see again.
And what reptile to Costa Rica?
Yeah.
What else did you see there?
It's just crazy. The birds are amazing. And then Ireland. I can't wait to see what's over in Ireland.
Nice.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing. Like, I'm very envious of that. You know, that's one of my dreams is to be traveling the world like that, herping and just doing what I love to do. And for her to be doing that, you know, that is a really amazing thing. So, that's about all I have for her right now.
Can I bring out the next guest?
Yes, you can.
Yes. Okay. So our next guest, General, is behind stage, and here he is, and he has some choice words.
What is up? What is up? What is up, everybody? It's your boy. Thanks for having me on, Mark.
You're welcome.
Dude, super cool idea you have with the special Mother's Day edition. Thank you so much for coming out and hanging out with us this morning down there, Mom.
Can you hear him?
No.
Okay. He's
Oh,
thanking
wow.
you for hanging out.
Oh,
Yeah. I don't
thank
know
you.
what
okay.
that's-
So
Thanks for having me.
she'll just tell her she'll have to rewatch for this part. So I want to steal it for just a second, Mark, and say Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. My mom has been such an intricate role in my life and who I am as a person today. And just being backstage and listening to some of your stories, Mark, between you and your mom, dude, you've been blessed with a life that a lot of people would think is going on vacation. So I'm so glad to have you over here with us, Mark, doing what we're doing, because I almost feel like you've been blessed into this. You know,
It's
you
fun,
talk
all
about SeaWorld, this, that, all these really cool places, and I'm glad to see that you didn't squander your opportunity, because there's other people and neighbors around you that that may not be doing everything you're doing. So I can appreciate the passion and drive that you have, which kind of leads me into my first question for your mom. So I have little ones, and I think as parents, we want the best for our kids. But with that being said, we don't want to, you're going to be the president, you're going to be the president type stuff, you know?
Mhm.
Did she ever,
You can hear him?
I can hear him now.
getting, okay. Did you ever see Mark getting to the point that he is today when he was younger, or was it just something where, well, that's Mark, that's my son?
It was always just Mark. That's my son. Like I said, ever since he could walk, he was looking for lizards and frogs and all that stuff all the time. So it was just his personality. It was who he was. But you know, I admit when he brought home
So
the falcon,
it was organic.
yeah, he's just never stopped. But
That's
no,
a-
I never
that's-
thought it would be this.
That's wild.
Hmm.
That's wild, Mark. You brought
And it's
home
only
a
going
falcon.
to.
So I guess I will rope a dope on the backside. So now you see who your son is and the things he's accomplished with his setups and things like that, and his overall personal collection, which is something that people should really take light of.
Hmm.
Where do you see Mark in 5 years? Do you have any sort of idea where you think he might be going?
I don't even know, because
I know
the
that's
only
hard. I know that's a hard one.
right, the only person that was like doing this before this was like Steve Irwin, And then, there's been some others, but they just, I don't know. I've watched them. They don't seem to have the passion. Mark always loved him because he had the passion for the animals. And even when he was getting bit by snakes, like, he didn't drop them. And Mark's always been that same way too. So I guess I see him in teaching, like animal education for people to,
Sure.
to teach them to not be afraid that,
I do too.
they're not what you see in the movies.
Mhm. And I want to do more than reptiles. I can't wait to get
And,
mammals. So. Sorry.
Mark, you said something a little bit earlier in the show as well about if I'm walking with an animal and somebody in the area can see it and they're afraid I failed. I love everything about what you said right there, dude, because it's so true. It's kind of the same aura when someone walks in a room and they're happy, you pick up on that energy. When someone walks in the room and they're cranky, you pick up on that energy. When you approach with this reptile, I think we have to ask ourselves a couple questions. Are you smiling? Does it look like a possible engaging experience? Are you shut off from the surroundings? And yesterday I got a little bit of time and was able to take out some of my great big beauty snakes and stuff and took them for a walk and got to show them off to some people. And it's an animal people aren't used to seeing, and just an overall great experience. And I love that you do that, man. And I admire it straight up. So I guess that's really what I've got, because the conductor asked some great questions. I learned a lot in the very beginning with you guys just talking back and forth. I feel like we could probably do this for hours just going through, well, Mark went here, Mark went here, Mark went here.
That's another episode.
I do have a couple things real quick I did want to say, and
Mark's everywhere.
So, because she can't hear me, I do want to say this. Wendy did an amazing job raising your son. He is a well-rounded individual, great person. With that being said, Mark, if you want to ask her this for me, so which was
I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. So which one was your favorite son?
They're both my favorite. They're both my favorite.
Oh my gosh.
Polar opposites.
Yeah,
one is into computers and Disney.
Like a true parent.
Yeah. I mean, I play Pokemon, don't get me wrong, but he'll dress up as, like Daredevil and,
Oh,
Right.
yeah. I bought him
But I
some
play Pokemon,
amazing
so I can't say
costumes.
anything.
Yes. Because he loves Comic-Con.
The conductor really asked Mom on Mother's Day live, which is your favorite son? Mark never hesitated. That arm went straight up.
Yes. Hey.
Yeah, no. I
used to
love
take a
both my
favorite. My
boys.
girlfriend has 3 kids, 3 girls. I'm like, how do you?
Now,
Which one's your favorite?
Right?
It's like, my favorite. I have 1 son, so I don't know.
So,
now,
Mark,
okay.
I've got one for you. I've got a question for you, and it's for you to address with your mom. So I kind of said the way that you were brought up and the places you got to go and the things that you've got to be a part of. And maybe I'm speaking out of pocket, but I'm not sure that I would be speaking to the same Mark if you had a different parent in that situation. What do you
Absolutely
have
not.
to say to your mom about who you are today?
Well,
Okay, well, let me interject something really quick on that.
no.
Mark didn't have support from his dad because his dad wasn't into reptiles at all. His brother wasn't into the reptiles. And his aunt told me that he was going to be a serial killer one day because he was so into the animals, right? And because he would watch the whole animal shows, right? Well, he would watch the animal shows where the lions were attacking the wildebeest and stuff. And she's like, well, he's going to be a serial killer because he watches all that. And He hit a bunny one time driving, and he stopped to check on it, and it was injured but not dead, but it wasn't going to survive, and he didn't want to just leave it there, so he kind of put it out of its misery. And she's like, he's going to be a serial killer because he can do that. And it's like, no, he just really didn't want the animal to lay there and suffer. And I mean, as a mom, you're just like,
empathetic and sympathetic.
That's in the middle
Yeah.
of nowhere. Yeah.
No, backstage we were also talking about, Mark, your son is really into the reptiles as well. He's really educated into it. My question for you, Wendy, is this something that you plan on doing with the grandson?
Oh, of course. If Porter's into it, but I mean, he's still so young that we don't really know what his personality is going to be. I mean, he knows this reptile stuff just like Mark. It's natural. Like,
More than
it's
most of all.
amazing to watch this kid. You put a frog in his hand and put a camera on, and he's instant. He knows what to do, and he's not afraid. It's not a chore for him. He likes doing it because he knows this knowledge. But
He's walking
we don't
right
know
now.
if he's going to go for sports or what he wants to do. But yes, I will support him.
General's raising his hand.
Go, General.
Mark, you are
Yeah.
not off the hook.
I
tell
was
your
like, you're not going
mother
back to that
thank
question.
you.
Just kidding.
You tell your mother thank you for
Yes.
I was setting it up. You say thank you.
He does all the time. Trust
And she
me,
is
he
my number
really
one
does.
supporter. Like, she is my number one sponsor, supporter. Like, I'll give everybody an example right now how much she supports me. There was an old house I was renting, right? And it was kind of when I was first getting into all this. And I got a huge fish tank, like 125-gallon fish tank. I had like 3 of those, I think. And
I'm sure.
fish tank in the house. We signed a contract to like no water bed, and that includes fish tank. So we're like, I didn't know that. And I was like, I'm not gonna get rid of my fish and my pets, And so I was like, can I put them outside? And this is in Central Oregon where it gets negative temperatures. It snows.
Mhm.
It's insane. And he's like, sure, you can put them outside. So I developed a way, long story short, put these fish outside in a stock tank, completely insulated it, made it work to where the water
Yeah.
stayed 78 to 81 degrees, even if it was negative outside. And it cost roughly around $3,000 to do trial and error and get that whole system working, essentially.
So the fish didn't freeze to death.
She just, no problem, was like, here you go, like, let's do this. And I just had this crazy idea. I drew it on paper at my work one day. I'm like, I'm gonna put my fish outside, do this, blah blah blah. And there's a lot of trial and error, but it worked out. And yeah, I mean, that's how much she supports this and all of it.
But then
I help people in cold climates in like
Yes.
Canada and other like Sweden and other places to put tropical ponds outside, even in cold weather. It was insane.
They want to know how he did it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can do that all because of her. And I mean, there's a million
Yes.
things to do, but biggest sponsor, and I want to say thank
That's
you.
cool.
Most none of this would be possible without you.
Yeah, mom's broke all the time because of the fish and reptiles.
I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm hurting.
I tell everybody all the time, I'm money poor and animal rich.
Right? That's it. I like that.
And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Well.
Well, I
Mark's
mean,
okay with
I'm
that.
not, but
Right.
I'm not okay with it. It doesn't pay the electrical bill, but
Right.
I guess I
But
could
there's
say
animals
things
that
could
are
be
rescued.
worse.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unless I have a restaurant too, so that pays the energy bill.
So that's
Now,
crazy.
So I
But-
have one last question. And usually my last questions, I usually like to keep them light, fun, and kind of
Disney princess?
yeah, so you watch it.
Oh, somebody's
I know
watching.
which
Poor
one.
girlfriend.
So
Somebody's watching.
for you, Wendy, if you can pick the most horrible vacation to send Mark on, where would that be? And what would you have him do?
The
Yeah, let me
horrible
know what I
vacation.
need to assign him.
I'm really optimistic and always happy, so this should be good.
Right?
It
I mean,
should be
I
good.
guess I would send him someplace to like a concrete jungle, like New York or whatever, because there's no animals.
There's so many animals.
But I know there's Central Park, but I don't know. It would be to some
Falcons,
place
that's on skyscrapers.
a concrete jungle that's got nothing for him to look
He's
for,
gonna
but
have
he
a
would still
party.
look. Right?
It's people's collected. Well, actually, you can't have that many animals in New York.
I would have sent him.
Hey, people get the concrete jungles twisted, dude. Downtown Kansas City. I don't know what the deal was, but I guess like 10 years ago, 12 years ago, they released falcons and predator birds to help with the rodents. And dude, you see those things swooping down in between they're high-rise buildings. Dude, Mark would find a way.
Oh yeah.
Mark would
to make it a friend. Yeah.
I love all animals. It's perfect.
See, myself personally,
He sure would.
If I had to send like my son or
I
my
think
daughter,
I lost the conductor.
Uh-oh.
I got it.
I didn't.
I don't know. Well, hey, he asked the final question. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put me and him backstage and let you go ahead and wrap up. Mark, Wendy, thank you so much for coming on and giving us some of your Mother's Day. Once again, thank you so much to all the mothers out there. You guys mean the world to everything. And don't forget, those little eyes are watching. So let's try to be somebody they can look up to, guys. And with that, I'm going to sign out.
Thanks, General. Thanks, Conductor. That was awesome. I love them. They're awesome. Yeah, and the General is super cool. The Conductor, he's magical at video editing, and he does all this stuff you see in the little.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah.
But Mark, I gotta say really quick, if anybody wants to know what your relationship is with these animals and how passionate you are, there's one video that you posted on your site about you and Jojo, and like you're holding him on your chest and you're just giving him kisses and stuff and he's hugs. That's the video. Like that, he's not just a tegu. He's not just a lizard. He's your friend. So he's your child. So yeah, if anybody wants to know, Mark, look up that video. You have to repost that now, but yes.
I'll get right on that and repost it.
Okay.
And then, yeah, is there anything else you want to say besides that?
Nope. Just it was a great Mother's Day. Thanks for having me on, and I'm glad I couldn't see any of the comments. So, yay!
I know I didn't answer the comments too much. Mark, share the link below in the chats, please. I got that comment.
Okay.
But yeah, no, there's a lot more to come, and we'll definitely do some more shows with you on it here, in the future, because there's so much to talk about.
Right.
Yeah, and then in all of this whole episode, it went great. And thank you, Show Me Reptile Network. And like I said before, we're the only show that goes coast to coast, Atlantic to Pacific. In October is our 10-year anniversary, so that's insane. I'm in Oregon, so I know in fall there's a fall show here in Medford, Oregon. So I don't know anybody watching here is in Oregon, but you should definitely attend that one. I'll most definitely be there. And there is a St. Louis show this weekend as well. And that should be a fun one. I will not be there, but the General and the Conductor.
Screens, we weave our dreams through YouTube's lens. We see new themes, voices rise, a global choir, sharing stories.
St. Louis is gonna be a banger.
From the depths of Reddit to Twitter's tweet, each